Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night in particular. Welcome to Horrorfest 2023, y'all. We are on week 4 of Horrorfest, and there is still so much to go. We're only a third of the way through. That's right, Horrorfest this year. Over 50 movies discussed across 30 shows or more. Over 30 shows across 3 channels. So excited for this. Tonight, we're talking about the camp slasher cult classic starring my friend Felissa Rose, Sleepaway Camp. This, to me, is the first real movie we're getting into for Horrorfest. So let's bring in the panel. We got a great panel lined up for tonight, including my man Verno, who just did a real horror movie on his channel, Blood Splatter Chatter. Welcome, Verno, into the house.
What up, my brother, dude? You have banger after banger, all Horrorfest, but this was the one that I'm like, I have to be on this show. And it seemed like everyone was doing that. Everyone wanted on this show, so I'm stoked to be here.
This was the first one to fill up, I do believe. I do believe it was one of the first ones to fill up, and there's a good reason for it, because not only is it a very monumental and milestone-y movie in this like industry, but it's also going to lead to a lot of great discussion, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Wouldn't you agree?
Guaranteed. I guarantee it.
Speaking of great discussion, you can't have a great discussion without the one and the only. The one and the only. It's Jelani from Go Figure Reviews. What is up, my man?
What's up, guys? Yeah, Station. And yeah, this movie is the top. I'm glad I'm on this one. I was
no pun intended.
Yes. Not at all. This movie has to be discussed. It's one of those things where it was a necessary evil. And of course, like you said before, I'm only here, other than reviewing this movie, is to see Brooks's reaction for it.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm here for everybody who's seen it for the first time. I need to talk to all of you and see what's going on, man.
You were there
I saw it like it was 2008, 2007, 2008. I watched this.
That tracks.
And somewhere in there. Because I didn't watch it when I was around, but I saw this randomly. This was just a random, hey, I'm going to watch this movie. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't there, and I was just like, I'm going to watch this movie. And it blew me away. I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Because at first I was going to turn it off. Midway through, I was going to turn it off. But then now, I finished it, and I'm glad I did, and I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times since then. It's nice. Absolutely insane, and I'm sorry.
It's definitely going to be
right now, but my God, I can't wait for Brooks.
It's definitely going to be a very solid conversation tonight, I do believe. And also joining us, first-time watcher for this movie, is our man, Missing Link. Steph, what is up, my man?
What up, fellas? Yeah, I've always heard about this one. Never got around to watching it until now, and I gotta agree, it's going to be a very good discussion.
Yes, it will. And Steph's first appearance on Horrorfest 2023, but not his last, by far. So this is going to be a great conversation. And we can't have a great conversation without the J's. That's Jelani and Joe Corallo, everybody. Editor right now of Sheena, Queen of the Jungle.
It's true.
What's up, Joe? Thank you for being here.
Not too much. I was dealing with emails about that earlier today.
Oh, shit. I know some of the back chat involved in that, so sorry, Joe.
Oh, it's fine.
As long as you get enough sexy covers, Nick's not gonna give a shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes.
We got all the sexy covers. Don't worry about that.
Speaking of sexy covers, the real reason why we're doing this movie, and I wanted to do this movie last year, the year before, and Jelani was there, and even Brooks was there for some of the pre-PCP Horrorfest we would have. We've been doing Horrorfest for a long time. It's been longer than just 4 or 5 years. I've been doing this shit my whole life.
I think I've seen it. We probably watched it before I saw it. I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure we did, brother.
I think we watched this together.
I think we did a whole marathon where we watched 1, 2, and 3 one night. I don't know if you were there,
we
but
did watch. I know I watched this with you. I had to remember watching it with you.
But the
That means
real
it-
reason,
But
the
go
real
ahead.
reason why we are here is because our homie Brooks has never seen this movie, nor knows anything about this movie, and he is here. Welcome, Brooks, to the panel. Brooks, welcome.
Hi.
That's all he's got to say for now. All right. And Joe, I hope you appreciate that he's right after you. It's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show. All right. Sleepaway Camp, 1983, directed by Robert Hitzik, also written by him. It was a first film for him, a first film for many people involved in this movie. It is a camp slasher from 1983. So a lot of people immediately were like, oh, you're going to be like riffing on Friday the 13th and all like, to me, like camp slashers in the 80s, there's Friday the 13th, there's The Burning, there's this movie. There are so many others that are absolute dog shit. But those three stand the test of time for me. I've been ready and waiting to talk about this movie. I am a huge fan and even a friend of one of the stars of this movie, Felissa Rose. There's when I first met Felissa Rose in 2021. And then I met her again this year with Dave Sheridan, ran the panel with them. Felissa's a darling in this industry. She is a sweetheart. She is absolutely amazing. You would not necessarily fully get that from this movie, but like she has over 200 screen credits to her name. She's in great films like this one. She's in Victor Crowley. She's in Terrifier 2. I wouldn't say that's a great film. Other people would. Maybe Verno would. I don't know. But I love this movie because it's a summer camp slasher that also is doing something more bold, daring, and different than Friday the 13th and The Burning did. I think there are great characters in this film. I love the kills in this film. I love this film. I think it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, Felissa's somebody who's very important to me, and I love her. So I'm biased, but I want to get to the panel because, and you out there in the panel, or you out there in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. You out there in the chat, let me know what you think about this film overall, because I'm curious, because this is a movie that has garnered a cult classic status. And most of the people that were involved in the making of this movie or were in this movie had no idea until the internet age and the con age of how much of an impact this movie had. At Scarefest this week, or this year, next month, I'm going to be at Scarefest. Felissa's going to be there. The chick that played Judy's going to be there. The chick that played the super bitchy fucking camp counselor is going to be there. The one that got killed in the shower. And one of the asshole dudes is going to be there. And her boyfriend is going to be there in the movie. The dude who, spoilers, gets decapitated towards the end.
That's David from Wrath of Khan.
Oh, shit. Is it really?
Kirk's son. That's Kirk's son.
Oh, fuck, dude. Really?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
You couldn't tell? That's David. Yeah.
I thought the dude that played Kirk's son died, man. Or is that the dude in another movie? Is that Search of Spock? Okay, never mind. It's probably Search of Spock then. I don't know.
He's died in 2 movies.
All right. I love this film. I think this film is actually really good, ahead of its time, and actually milestone-y. Verno, Blood Splatter Chatter, you're killing it right now with all of your shows here for Horrorfest. Why don't you tell us what you thought about Sleepaway Camp overall?
First off, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for helping me kill it on Blood Splatter Chatter. This is a movie, I kind of grew up with this movie, but I grew up more with Sleepaway Camp 2. We rented that constantly. I'm sure every one of us here used to walk through Blockbuster Video or whatever our video store was and look at the case for Sleepaway Camp 2. You've got the chick on the cover. She got the Freddy glove. She got the Jason mask. It was just, I was obsessed with that movie. And I remember watching this movie a little bit when I was a kid, but I had forgot about this movie for many, many years and watched it again, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, holy hell, like this is the one. It's so much better than the first one. But I will say, like, as we're saying how good it is, it's almost equally as bad. That this is one of those perfect blends of so bad it's good and so good it's good. that it makes it almost the perfect early cheesy 80s slasher. You know what I mean? So I agree with everything you said about it. Kills, cast, the look of it, the music, it's got it all. So this is a classic and one of my favorite from the 80s for a reason.
Absolutely. Jelani, what do you think about this film overall?
And this is one of the wildest films I've ever watched. Like, in general. Like, it's a typical slasher film, but it's got so much, like, I don't know what it is. It's like, yeah, you're right, Verno. It's a mix of bad and so bad it's good, and so good it's good. It's got a lot of it in there. Like, there are people in there that shouldn't even be here. Like, absolute cartoon characters. But then you got like kids, like actual children. Like, I'm not sure the age variation at Camp Anawak or whatever it is. I have no idea. Like, so we're just having like 4-year-olds up to like 18-year-old kids, and it's just
one of the cool things about this film, Jelani. One of the cool things about this film, man, is that the director was like, you know what? I'm going to get 14-year-olds to play 14-year-olds. I'm going to get 10-year-olds to play 10-year-olds. I'm going to get 18-year-olds to play 18-year-olds. We haven't seen it before or since.
Nope. No one tries it. No one tries it. I guess adolescence is just too much for people, especially if there's going to be a sequel or something involved. I don't know. It's just so weird that they put all these elements in this movie. There's a lot of like there's gay references, there's trans references. There's so many other little pieces in this movie where you're just like, wow, they were able to put all this in, and it's mercifully short, and the killer isn't someone I expected, because I thought the whole time when I first watched this movie, I thought it was the doctor, the crazy out of place lady that was in this movie, and then you find out who it is, and you're just like, what? No, and what? So the ending throws you off. The ending comes out of complete left field. It's not really build up to it. So I love all of that. Yeah, eat shit and live, Bill. That's my line of this movie.
Me too, dude.
The so baseball game, that's the weirdest baseball game ever filmed. I know we're going to talk about style and structure, but I was like, what the crap is up with this baseball game that means absolutely nothing? But there's so many just out of place things and then in place things in this movie, which are just so wild that I'm awestruck by it. I love this horror movie. This is one of my favorites. This is like in my top 10. Felissa Rose, she can get it as well, but not in this movie. Not in this movie. I'm talking about now.
She still can today. God. Yeah, 100%.
She can get it. She can still get it. So, but it's just wow. That last scene, man. That last scene just takes you out of it, like that throws you off guard. It's so many little things on top of that leading up to this, and the special effects are amazing. So I really enjoy this film. I really do.
For a movie that is not super hardcore into the actual gore of some of the actual like the moment of the kill
that are awesome,
right? Yeah, but like the aftermath. The aftermath is some of the roughest we've ever seen, man. Like when the dude, the cook, the pedophile cook is getting fucking burned and he's doing the bubbling thing, but they don't overdo it. If any other movie in 1983, this dude's head would have went out like 3 times its size with the fucking splatter bubble effect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would have popped.
It would have his head explode. And it is. And like you said, I think this movie is one of the, and I mean this in the most positive light possible. This is one of the gayest movies I've ever seen, bro. Like, and I love it for that. I love the inversion on this film. So many of these slasher films, especially in 1983, the chicks, the women, they're the bimbos. They're the ones that are getting half naked or all the way naked throughout the film. They're the ones that are dumb. In this movie, it's the fucking dudes that are dumb. It's filled with hard rockin' body himbos and fucking like women that are just like fully clothed and just fucking assholes. It's like the inversion of the typical 80s slasher. And I really, really do think that even aside from the ending, it's ahead of its time for that. Speaking of ahead of its time, Steph is always ahead of his time. Steph, Missing Link himself. Man, first time watching. What'd you think, bruh?
I gotta say, I've always heard about this one, and it's lived up to the hype for me. I had a blast with this movie. It reminded me of like Wet Hot American Summer, if it was a horror. Like I was really involved in the relationships going on in this movie. Whether it's like is the Felissa Rose the popular like the bitchy girl?
No, she's Angela. She's the one.
Okay. The one. All right.
That's
excellent,
Judy,
by the way. But whether it's like Judy trying to move in on Angela's boys, or it's like her cousins trying to move in on Judy. I was really involved in these relationships, and it was just done well. And I gotta say, it's like really inverted with the tropes. Like when you see like 10 asses going skinny dipping at one point, and they're all like dudes, and then you see
it's all dudes.
I dug it. It was super fun, and I had a blast.
Those asses, by the way, as Brittany said to me earlier, all farmer tanned asses, right? Like 100%. Those dudes ain't seen no sun on that ass their entire life, man. And Fable's right.
How comfortable they are.
I was gonna say Fable's right. We need to make them PCP half shirts, man.
Yeah,
if I had the body for it, I'd be rocking one right now.
Bro, me too, man.
I'll do it.
Me too.
I'll do it. Good hanging out and everything, man. I don't care. Some short shorts, some cut off short shorts, or them shorts that Counselor wore. So he had the bulge. I was like, oh God. This is wild.
We'll get into him later. We'll get into him later. Trust me. All right. Every time I got the new batch of what's coming up for PCP Movie Night, one of the first people I send it to was Joe. So I want Joe to be like, just pick any movie you fucking want to be on, Joe. And you pick this one. So I'm really excited to hear why you're here tonight, what you think about this movie overall.
Yeah, I mean, cult classic. I mentioned a little bit backstage, but it's like it's a dark comedy in like a lot of ways. Like it feels that way. It feels like this is not a horror director. This is someone who's openly admitted horror is not like his genre. It's not what he goes to the movies to see, but he saw that's how you make movies. So it seemed like a horror movie made by someone who was trying to entertain himself with what can I do that's not horror, that's fun. So it's really heavy on the characters just being really nasty to each other. It's a lot of the conflict and like people were alluding to before, it's more about that and seeing like the aftermath of deaths and having like, playing around with that. But I mean, some of them were very clearly like, oh, I don't care about, someone getting killed with a hook or an axe or something. Beehive. Like, that's how it felt, like it was just like, yeah, whatever. We're gonna do that. Also bold move, adhering to child labor laws and, doing that because again, it's very weird.
Same thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, one nice thing about this too is I know that some people feel differently about like the twist ending and all of that, but if you watch Sleepaway Camps 1 through 3 in a row, it is a trilogy about a trans girl winning.
Nice, yeah.
And killing.
Winning and killing. What? It's about a trans girl slaying, exactly. Like,
yes, exactly. She slay, bro.
Slay girl.
Oh yeah. Since we're not talking about it here, but I'm gonna fuck it. Sleepaway Camp 3 has one of my favorite intros to like a horror movie, where it's just a girl gets mowed down by a truck, and then Angela just gets out of the truck, and then blood on the wall is like Angela's back. I'm like, this movie knows exactly what the fuck it is, and I love it. This
Hell
is
yeah.
outstanding. So I recommend, doing 1 through 3 and enjoying that ride, because that's insane.
Yeah, I would agree.
Robbie,
Unfortunately,
we did watch this together. I'm an idiot.
the Blu-ray editions of 2 and 3 are pretty pricey right now, so we hope we get some reprints of those. All right. The real reason why we're here tonight is not just to celebrate this amazing movie that was ahead of its time, doing something interesting in a very overdone genre at its time, which was not just horror, but the camp slasher, right? How many of these have we seen? You know what I'm saying? We've seen at least 13 of them that are Friday the 13th, or 12. They did 12. They need to do one more, right? That's like perfect. Like Friday 13, like they need to do that. Brooks, this was your first time watching this movie. You hadn't heard anything about it. What did you think about this film?
It's all right.
Knew that was coming.
To me, it felt pretty like a very standard slasher movie, and because I knew there was a twist, I figured out halfway through the movie, like the Angela twist, like when dude like makes a move on her, and it shows the flash of her like sitting on the bed with the brother, and they like switch places. I'm like, oh, so that's one twist. I didn't know she was going to be the killer. I thought it was like too obvious. I'm like, nah, she's not going to be. I figured it's going to be like Mozart or something like that. But it doesn't, like, there are a lot of things I do like about this movie. Like, I think the characters are pretty good. I like the suspense. The kills are pretty solid as well. But the ending is like, I thought it was like a letdown for me. It's like, also like, that's just the ending is like, that reveal. Like, at first I thought like, because the way she's portrayed, like, she has a glowing blood, like, oh, is she a demon or something? But no, it was just like she is I don't know. I was let down a little bit by the ending, to be honest.
Was it built up too much? Because I know there was a lot of like, Brooks is gonna be fucking blown away, Yeah,
a little bit. But I mean, I think I was I didn't get caught off guard except by like the fact that Angela was the killer, because I was actually looking, like, I knew there was going to be some kind of weird twist, so like I was actually kind of looking out for it.
It's crazy to me that you were like, yeah, I knew Angela was not. I understood the Angela twist, but not that she was the killer. Like, that's the thing that blows my fucking mind.
I thought it was too obvious. Like her and Ricky, I'm like, it can't be those two. That's too fucking obvious.
This is the mistake we made. The mistake I made was even alluding to the idea that I was excited for you to see this movie because you had never seen the ending, right? Mm-hmm. But that blows my mind that you figured that out, because when I rewatch it, that scene that you're talking about where she's having that first sexual encounter with that young kid, right? And she's remembering seeing her father, right? And laughing, and then they do that bit where her and her brother are like, or her and her sister are like in the bed and like switching plate. Like it comes across a bit too obvious nowadays, but in 1983, nobody saw that shit coming at all.
And also like it made me think about the first scene with the mother character. I'm like, God, why is this character so weird? I kind of like. I just pieced it together from just like various things. Like even the opening scene, where it shows them and getting hit by the boat, which is so fucking weird that they drive this boat into like this place where it doesn't seem like you would crash a boat. But it doesn't show you which kid
right up
dies.
to the fucking dock. Like right up to the fucking bank of the fucking river or pond or lake or whatever the hell they're on.
Like what was this girl's damage? Like, is she just like, how stupid is this girl? And she can't like not crash a boat into like somebody's like dock.
The thing is, they're like 15 feet off of shore. What was the other option? They were either going to hit the boat or hit the shore. Like, there was no good ending to that.
I love the overacting in this movie. In particular from the cook after he gets like burned, but like from the skier at the beginning of the film, who's like, oh my God, somebody help them. They're dying horribly. Like, it's just like so fucking over the top. I love it because it's so cheesy, but at the same time, This movie comes across as very sincere. One of the reasons why it comes across as sincere to me is because of the cast. So I'm going to steal everybody's thunder tonight because I have met Felissa Rose multiple times.
Have you?
I've done a panel with Felissa Rose. So we're about to talk about our favorite performances in this film. By the way, that's Dave Sheridan, Doofy, right next to her. Look how fucking jacked that dude is. I just wanted him to like put me in a headlock and put me in a sleeper hold and like, I don't know. I probably would have came a little bit if that happened. Anyway, moving on. My favorite character in this film. I do not remember this character's name. I do not remember the actor who portrayed this character, but the head counselor who is like wearing 2 sizes too small every fucking time. Just jacked as fuck. He's got the goddamn perm going on. He is the dumbest dude in the whole movie, even to the point where at the end, he's the last one to realize she's a boy. She's gonna be like, the way he delivers those lines, I don't know if he was in on the joke, but he goddamn carries that character for me. He is the bimbo of the movie. He is completely just lost, just like he's the dude who looks at the world and just sees the best in everybody and then is like surprised at every fucking twist and turn. Even the fact that his boss is hooking up with like a fucking 17, 18-year-old. I don't know what's fucking going on with Meg and fucking Mel, but like Meg and Mel, they got more in common than just 2 letters of their first name. Anyway, I'm picking that fucking dude with the perm and the shorty shorts with the super tight clothes on me because he's just, I honestly don't think he's hot now, but he was hot back then. Okay. And like, he was super fucking hot. So Verno, what about you? What's a character you want to highlight? A performance?
Jay Burns in the chat has it right. You're speaking of Ronnie. That's the dude you're talking about.
Fuck
Which
yeah,
I'm still so confused about.
Paul D'Angelo. There we go. Yes.
At one point, Mel, who is the older Italian gentleman, who's going to be my pick, I feel like at one point he's like, if you girls keep it up, I'm going to tell Ronnie on you. So I'm like so confused about, does Ronnie own this joint or does Mel own this joint? I don't know if the writers or directors ever figured that out, but
he's the head counselor, right? So he's the guy, like Mel owns it, but he's the one that runs it, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Mel just cracks me up, man. Speaking of overacting, he's so over the top in his performance. And the way that he keeps on making excuses at first, where he's like, like he ends up admitting later he knows that there's a killer in this camp, but he doesn't want to have to send the students home. He's like so serious about it, but he keeps denying it. He's in front of the cop. He's like trying to almost incriminate himself, like the way he's like trying to hide the fact that there's a murder. But my favorite bit from him is when he tries to kill Ricky. And the way he's pounding on Ricky like a fucking orangutan. He looks so ape-like when he's doing that. But his facial expressions, every line that he delivers throughout the whole thing. And then the fact that he gets the hottest chick in the movie, M.E.G., Meg, who I think is the chick from Family Ties. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the fact that he's like this, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, what, the sister?
The sister?
I don't know.
Like Jason Bateman's sister? No.
Felissa Rose was talking about her coming to set, and she's the girl from Family Ties, and it was a big ass deal. I'll look. Maybe I'm wrong. But either way, that dude, the fact that he can pull the hottest chick in the movie, and he's the ugliest dude in the movie.
She was in All My Children.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. Thank you.
You fucked me up because I had a Family Ties kerfluffle last night when I was trying to do the theme song. So, all right.
But no, I'll go M-E-L, Mel.
Not you, Meg. He was trying to bury everything until it was Meg, bruh. He was like, you just ruined my chance, man. 4 years at this camp. I was finally going to get some tonight from fucking Meg. That's a good pick, man. Mel actually delivers a really great performance, even though it's really over the top. And he was definitely someone who was like overlooking all the shady shit happening at his fucking camp, right? When dude comes out of the freezer with Ricky and Angela, he's just like looking at him curious. No, that's the moment where you go, get the fuck out of here, dude, because I know what the fuck you're doing. You're putting your belt. Anyway, we'll move on. All right. Verno, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Jelani, what do you got, man? What's your favorite character?
He was gonna be like, Verno, what's your pick?
Sorry, no. I had to drink a little bit too much on my Dynamite show, so like we are where we are.
I'm picking the auntie Martha. She
Bruh,
is
like I paid
she
for
does
you to
not-
go to camp, and isn't that so awesome of me to do that for you?
Yeah, I filled these out. I won't tell it I'm a doctor, and I'll put it in the whole bag. Like, oh, it's like she was in a completely different film. Like she didn't know where she was. Like, who's my tag team partner? Kind of situation. It's just she was all over the place. Like, and she's not in it, but the very beginning and right at the end before the reveal. And she's my favorite, like, to date. Like that lady, I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, we already have a boy in the house, so we're going to make you a girl. Is it all right? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, I guess. You know, if I gotta live here. But it's so messed up. The movie is so messed up, and it's messed up because of her. Because the whole time I thought she was the killer. I really thought she was like, she went to the camp and she was like, anybody that was picking on Angela or her son, she was just gonna make an example of him or kill him. But as I've watched this movie over years and time, like the pedo guy, he was like, "Hey kid." So it was a kid that pulled the rack from the chair from under his feet, and then like they recognized all the people that got killed except for the Beehive Bill dude. Yeah, didn't recognize that he was there. Like it was a kid. Like it was someone they were like, "Oh, it's you. Oh, it's this." You know, it was always something like that, even with Judy. And I started to slowly piece it together. I still thought it was her because, like, she was that crazy. She's just absolutely insane. Like, no one should dress or talk or act like her in real life. Everyone else in the movie she got a different script from everyone else in the movie. I think this one just she's just, oh, I tied a thing around my finger. Oh, this to remind me. Like, what? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I pick her because, yeah, she's the absolute craziest thing on there next to Angela. But Angela's there. Angela's that way for a reason, and it's not right. It's not right. And
Hell yeah!
She's the
All right,
cause of it.
Steph, what's a performance you want to highlight?
I was gonna say the camp counselor, the beefcake dude, just because he was rocking the short cut off jeans and the halter top, that made me want to get my own.
If you
put it
listen
on,
to
start rocking it tomorrow.
Steph, send me pics, please, and send Brittany pics too, please. Like Spilio's wife, Brittany, would love to see that. I will tell you this though. One of the funny things is in the commentary, somebody says, I think it was the director. It was like, oh, by the way, dude still can fit in all those original clothes. He still has them, and he showed me that he can still fit in them.
Wow.
Same hair,
What?
bro. Same hair.
That's what.
For Jelani with the mom. When I first saw the aunt, I was like, man, she's really over the top. She's really trying to sell it. But the ending kind of gave reasoning to her being so eccentric, I guess. Great pick though. But I will go with the cousin. Just because he felt like I'm glad you told me these were people all playing their real ages, like 14-year-olds playing 14-year-olds, because he felt like a genuine teenager to me. You know, he was looking out for his cousin, but he wasn't going out his way to be like, yeah, that's my cousin. Still trying to hook up with the chick that he hooked up with before that's being a bitch to his cousin. You know, just felt very teenagerish. He's like, yeah, you're being a bitch to my cousin, but you want to go hang out and shit, you know? So he felt like a real teenager.
Yeah, and the reason why this movie got an R rating is just the dialogue from this fucking kid, Ricky, man. You cocksuckers, you assholes, you motherfuckers. I'm coming at you.
I saw in a video that he like got the job because of that rant. Or because of rant like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah. He's the most human kid. I think he's the most human kid in this movie. Because he's a genuine kid. Like his mom is batshit crazy, but he is like level. He is a level kid, like really based.
Mm-hmm. He is but you know, she means well. But yeah, I'll go with the cousin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and he does a great job of like where this movie's filled with red herrings, right? They're trying to get you to think that it's the dude who like what's his name? Was it somebody mentioned him earlier? Was it Verno? The dude who like gets the fucking tea bag going on, like the dude that's like picked on Mozart. His name is fucking Mozart. Of course he's the one that gets picked on, man. I'm sorry, but that's just what happens, man, in that situation. But Ricky plays a good job because Ricky, the dude who plays Ricky, is also the hands of the killer every time, right? Because Felissa Rose's mother was on set, and Felissa Rose had just turned 13, right? And they were like, she's not doing any nudity. She's not going to do any of the killing. Like, she was very protective of her daughter on this film. And so the dude who played Ricky was the hands of the killer the entire time. When you see the silhouette of the killer in the doorway, or when you see the killer pop up underneath the boat, that's all the dude who played Ricky. Jonathan McTiernan or something like that, who Felissa Rose, that was her first crush, by the way. She told me that. She was like, we had a first crush. We maked out a little bit. And it was all good. Speaking of, go ahead.
You can see him clear as day. I don't know if you guys watch this on Blu-ray or what you watched it on, but the Judy kill, when they flash to him, you can see it's just Ricky in a clear as day. Yeah. Well, I think that's what they were trying to do, because they're just trying to. He is the red herring of the movie, is the way I look at it. They're trying to make you think that he's the killer.
Not Meg, you son of a bitch! Not Meg. I knew it was you. I'm gonna kill you, you fucking 13-year-old bastard. Speaking of 13-year-old bastards, Joe, why don't you tell us a performance you want to highlight?
Okay, right before I go into that, I do want to point out with Mel that the actor died before this movie came out.
Wow. He never got to see his success.
He is the Heath Ledger to this Dark Knight that we watched.
Wow.
Damn, why so serious, Joe?
Why so serious? It's so I think everyone should a moment of silence there. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Paul, and not just because everyone already picked all the good characters, but I'm also gonna go with Paul because I think Meg also falls into this category. Very few people do. But the actor who played Paul is one of the only ones in this movie that seems interested in having material for a reel and getting another gig ever. And like when he acts, he is one of the few people that it's like, oh, you think you're in like a movie right now? That's cute. And it worked. He's in a bunch of stuff. He is still in stuff.
Wasn't he in fucking the Langoliers or some shit like that? I think
something like that. But he's done voices on Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Sonic, a bunch of like. This is a guy that was his first gig, and he was like, "I want a reel." And there is more than enough in that movie to get a solid like 45-second reel from Paul. Like shop around. He was on afternoon like after school specials like a year after this already. Like he was able to make it work. So he got that material from this movie, and that was a guy who wanted to make this happen. So. If for no other reason, because it's not real, like again, like he only stands out because he's treating this like a real movie. If everyone else in the if everyone else in the movie was acting like they were in a movie, I don't think he would stand out at all. But because of that, he helped give a bunch of people, they all helped him get work, I guess.
Well, Christopher Collette is the guy who played Paul. And Joe, I don't know what you're doing like 4 or 5 weeks from now, but if you can manage to make it to Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, I'm going to be there and he's there. So it's going to be great. Him, nice. Judy, Felissa, of course, and the Meg is going to be there as well. So it's going to be. You should come down, Joe. Like me and Holshoe got a hotel already. You can sleep with me. But no, you can't sleep with. Well, maybe you can't. I don't know. We'll get to that later. You can share our room with us if you want to, Joe. You make it down. Anybody here on the panel can make it to me to Scarefest. Share my bed. Like, let's get 5 dudes in a fucking bed and go meet fucking Paul from Sleepaway Camp. Let's fucking
booking my tickets. Let's do this.
What's Brooks' favorite character? I want to hear about Brooks' favorite character.
Yeah, I'm curious about this one.
Going.
I like Mozart actually. It's like
that poor kid.
Like he kind of reminded me of myself in a lot of ways. Like as a the guy who was like kind of like not as much into the whole camping experience. Like I like during the baseball game, he's got like his little fucking tiger game that he's playing. I was like shocked that he managed to catch that fly ball. I figured he was gonna drop it and everybody was gonna get pissed at him. But so like I thought he was gonna be the killer because it seemed like it would have been the best twist because it was pointed out throughout the whole movie that everybody kind of like shits on him a bit, and he finally gets pissed off at Ricky at one point and like chases him around with a knife like an idiot. And like in one of the killing scenes, like when the girl in the shower gets killed, like that's his knife that's being used. I'm like, oh, maybe it is him. I was disappointed. I was hoping it was going to be Mozart, but you just gotta accept what the movie tells you, I guess.
That poor fucking kid got paid pennies to put his fucking face in some other kid's ass all of a sudden for no reason.
How many takes was that?
I know, right?
Let's do it again. All right, let's talk about the style and structure of this film. I think that it looks comparable to some of those early 80s slashers, right? It's kind of got that like, I don't know how to describe it. I always describe it as this like late 70s, early 80s, almost grimy kind of way of shooting films where I think there are some amazing shots in this film. The special effects are amazing. You mostly see the after effects of the kills, but the cook, by the way, nobody picked that character as their favorite because that dude is the fucking worst.
Gross.
Right? And the director in the behind the scenes documentary is like, oh yeah, like I had to justify why everybody who got killed in this movie, I had to justify why. He was one of the first, and that's why. Like, is because he wanted a kill that we would all cheer for. You know what I'm saying? But the special effects in that bit are amazing. The special effects on the bee sting kill are amazing afterwards. In fact, I was watching what's his name? The Cinephile or whatever, the maniacal Cinephile, whatever. He did a review on this and he was like, oh, the killer's Candyman. Like, and I thought that was super fucking funny. But I do think the special effects are actually really good for what they're doing in this film. I like the way it's shot. They had to film this at that camp in fall. So there are moments in this film where you go, it is not summer camp, y'all. The leaves are orange, they're red, they're yellow, like, and at certain times, they would actually send people out to paint the leaves of the tree green so that it came across a little bit. I like that attention to detail. I like the fact that they picked an actual summer camp location, filmed it entirely there. I like the look of this film. I think it looks better than Friday the 13th 1 and 2. I think it looks better than The Burning, which is my favorite camp slasher film. Verna, what about you? What do you think about the style and structure?
Oh, I knew what I was gonna say until you started saying crazy shit. I mean, Friday the 13th Part 2 and The Burning. Come on, bro. Those are shot. Well, I think the look, the setting, them finding the location of the camp is doing 90% of the heavy lifting for the movie and the look. You know what I mean? For the look of the movie. It's a solidly shot film. I don't think there's anything special about the direction. You totally stole my thunder. The thing I was planning on saying about the style is that they don't show much gore, but what they do is linger on the after effects of the kills. Like, that's what sticks out to me about the style of the film. They didn't want to show the blood. They wanted to show other types of gore. And that's what I think of when I think about this film is what you said, the after shots, the snake coming out of dude's mouth, the bee stings, the after effects of the cook being burnt. But I'm still stuck on that. Friday the 13th Part 2 is one of the dopest shot slasher films of the 80s, bro. And The Burning is almost as good as that. This, in my opinion, is not
The Burning
quite
is
on those
better
levels.
than that, bro. Come on, man. Let's be honest.
They're right there. They're right there. You guys will be talking about that in a couple weeks on Dylan's show, Friday Part 2. But I mean, I don't think this quite reaches there, but it's got a good look to it.
All right. It's got a good look to it. That's the other quote that we'll put on the fucking shirt. All right. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about the style and structure?
It's a little haphazard, to be honest. Because the twist comes out of absolutely nowhere. And there's not enough build up for me for the twist to happen. Just that the last 5 minutes of this movie, it's a thing. And you're like, deal with it. It's just, I don't know. I love it. Don't get me wrong. There are just some things about it, but something about just, hey, surprise, this is it. You know, there are a lot of, like you said before, there are a lot of red herrings. It's kind of weird to see the cousin show up and he's just, I don't know, he feels like he should be the killer, even though he's the most base character in the game, in this movie. I would have felt bad if he was the killer, to be honest, because I really liked him. But I love how the kills are shot, like you guys said before. It's especially Judy's kill. Judy's kill, like, is the craziest thing. Like, you gotta, like, say, hey, you don't see anything, but
Bruh, like,
it's all implied.
I was talking to Spillio before the show, right? And he goes, I got a question. Where did that curling iron straightener go? And I was like, bro, you know where it went, bro. He was like, oh, that's what I thought, man. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
It's one of those things where you know what happened. You know, I mean, you see it. It's the shadows. It's the implied. I love the special effects in this movie. The water kill with the snake coming out of his mouth, that is absolutely fantastic. The bee stings, that is still awesome. God, there's just so many just awesome little things about this movie. The head that they use for Angela, because that's not Angela, that's a mask. Now you can tell it's a mask, especially when if you're watching it in 4K. It's a mask, and it's like a clearly a man standing there with an Angela mask on.
But it works, like, right?
And it works well. It's so creepy. It's the mouth is wide open, the hissing, all of that. That shit scared. The first time I saw this shit out of me. I know this. Yeah, that.
She still does that pose every time you meet her, man. She still does it, man.
She's supposed to, man. She's supposed to. That's the most iconic thing that you'll ever see in film, in horror, in the horror genre. That is one of the craziest faces you'll ever make. Like, it's out of nowhere. She's quiet. She's quiet the entire movie. And then this happens, and then she's like, what the crap? It's so jarring. It's very jarring. And she very nude. And it was very out there, just like, it's a boy. You know, all of these scenes. And even I had to give it to my man, the other counselor that saw the hacking when the kids were killed. The kids that threw sand.
Oh, the guy that goes and throws up immediately, right?
Throws up immediately. Yeah. He got the right script too. He was nailing it too. I kind of feel bad for him but that scene is chilling. It's just like he walks up and he's trying to do the right thing. He's got these other kids. I'm scared. I'm cold. I want to go back. And he's like, I'll take them back. And then all of a sudden, he comes back and like all the kids under his charge are dead, hacked to death. Even though you don't really understand what's going on. It took me a while to piece it together. But he throws up and he runs into the woods, and it's like genuine. So they got good shots out of people. It's not shot the best, but because you don't really understand what those were until I had to piece it. Like I said, I had to piece it together. But it's still awesome, and I don't know. I love this movie, but like I said, the pacing of it is haphazard. Even though it's mercifully short, it's just all of a sudden that twist is just like surprise.
It does have a very abrupt ending, right?
It's abrupt.
When I watched it with my homie Clayton, who's in the chat right now, he already knew what the ending was going to be. And when we got to the end of it, he goes, I loved that movie, but I just wish that there was more after the ending. I hate how it just cuts there, right? And by the way, VCR, so the cop with the mustache, he got done with the movie, shaved the stash off. They needed him to come back. They put that most fucking gnarly fake ass mustache on this dude. So like, it's just like from one shot to the next, this dude's wearing a fake mustache. It cracks me the fuck up. All right, Steph.
And he turns his head and it looks weird. Like,
you can like almost see the tape coming out of it, right?
Yeah.
Steph, what do you think about the style and structure of this film? And please, I got to go Wiz, lead us on as well.
Gotcha. I rather enjoyed the style and structure. I admittedly am not as familiar with I've not seen The Burning. I haven't seen Friday the 13th Part 2 in a minute, so I can't really compare.
We did a show on The Burning. We did an episode on The Burning like 4 weeks ago.
Oh, never mind. I got that one confused. I remember it now. That was they had diddling in that movie as well. I enjoyed the vibe. It felt like a camp movie. I do agree. I felt like, you kind of wanted some reconciliation with the whole Angela reveal bit towards the end. It is abrupt, but I enjoyed it. I think it got what it was going for, especially since they like shot in the fall. I can't be mad at an hour and like 24, 27-minute movie, especially with what type of movie this is. So I think the pacing was just fine. And I wanted to throw a quote out there really quickly. I don't know if you guys all have your quotes lined up. I'd like to hear them. They're not too young, they're just too old. When I heard that quote, when I heard him say that, I wrote down, wow. Like they were being very obvious with the cook in this movie. I was kind of shocked. I was like, that never get done today, not at all.
Dude, you know who should have got it? The other cook, the one that takes the head cook position after the pedophile dies. First off, that's James Earl Jones's father. And you can hear it when he speaks in his voice.
It was.
That's his dad?
He should have got it too.
Like, man,
his reaction to this guy admitting that he's a pedophile is to laugh at. He's
he laughs
at don't even know what you're talking about. He walks away. It's like, dude, you are a problem too. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
What a story, Mark.
Enabler. Wow, James Earl Jones' dad. Shocking.
Yep.
But and with that, what about you, Joe? What did you think of the style and structure?
All right. So, again, piggybacking off of what some people have already mentioned, the pacing doesn't the pacing really needs some work. I think they actually solved some of those pacing issues in parts 2 and 3, because those movies are just super high body count. People are just getting murdered left and right.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's like, okay, we kill the cook, and then it takes a while to get to the next kill, and then you're like an hour or so in, or not even a kill, because the cook lived. Like he was
horribly burned.
Yeah. So like you don't get the first kill for like a long time.
Well, because 10 minutes of it is that dude just going,
yeah.
Like, that lasted so long.
He deserved all of it.
And then everyone gets killed in the last act. It's like you have one death, one guy really maimed, and then everyone that gets killed in like the last 25-ish minutes. So like, or like 35-ish minutes, but really at the end. So like, I'm like, that's that they could have worked on that. Another thing is one thing in particular that really doesn't work at all is how they're pretty good with setting up something like where someone really goes over the line and then the person gets killed or maimed or whatever. And they do a good job with that with the first cook, who I know someone pointed out is cooking on this like giant trash can. That's some of the best like awful dialogue in the movie where they're like, oh, check, let me get on this chair. I'm going to open it, look in real quick and be like, it needs another minute. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? It doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, but
this water needs another minute before it's ready.
It's so
That's some
This
good
is
water.
second-degree burn water. It's not quite ready yet. Third degree, give me a minute.
Yeah.
So you get that, and then you also like the bit with Mel towards the end. Like they set it up where after Mel does that to Ricky, he should have died in the next scene or had been attacked, but they don't do that. And then he has another scene later, you know, where he goes even further and thinks he's like killed Rick. Like, and I'm like, that it doesn't work in the movie. The movie set up, like the logic in the movie set up something that doesn't fit in, and that's annoying to me in the movie overall. Like that sticks out in particular as like why. What was the point of him grabbing Ricky and going through all this and really taking things too far and then not getting killed? Like you could have just not done that.
Yeah.
You know? Like I don't get like it was already a crazy enough situation. He could have just had, you know, Mel like if you were trying to make a movie that fit the logic that the movie already set up, Mel would have just been talking to Ricky, maybe yelling at him, maybe waving his finger, but the fact that he was restraining him, like he took it to that next physical level, he should have been killed in the next scene or attacked in the next scene. It makes no sense why he didn't.
Didn't he die a few scenes later though? He got the arrow in the neck.
Yeah.
But that was because he physically beat Ricky.
Yeah.
That was the cause and effect of that. So like you didn't need that other like it's
right.
It doesn't like structurally it doesn't make any sense.
I figured it was because the way it works out is anytime anybody messes with Angela, they die right after, like immediately after, and he's not Angela. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, but like
speaking of Angela. Oh no, my bad. The one bit you reminded me of this, Joe, but one bit that kind of threw me off was Angela was like a mute through like almost 45 minutes of the movie. Then like cut to a scene and she's like talking and she's dating a guy. Like she's really socially awkward through like half the movie, and then she's still awkward afterwards. But it's just like she's socializing. She's holding hands.
That's when she talks to Paul for the first time.
It kind of threw me off.
She talks to Paul and does it.
Yeah.
She talked to Paul for the first time, and
opened her up.
Yeah, and that's what sets Judy off too. Yeah, because she goes good night, and he goes, oh yeah, good night, and he think that kid thinks he's getting laid, not decapitated in a couple days, but that's what's gonna happen. That Mel scene, by the way, the arrow through the neck, that's a really well done special effect.
It
is
for its time, for its budget. So there you go. All right, Brooks. We're very excited. What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
I like it. It is a bit all over the place. Like it's like in a way, it's like, you know, it starts off, with this kind of scene of a dad and his kids, like, you know, and then, you know, the tragedy happens, and then you have the scene with the mom sending them off to camp, which feels like so like out of left field compared to the rest of the movie. And then like most of the movie feels like a Salute Your Shorts episode, but with like random slasher kills kind of thrown in it. But I think, you know, it works. You know, it does work. Like it is a very it's a good slasher movie. But And like the end, I was like, the ending disappointed me so much because I was just like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like I was expecting more, and like, it is very like, I suppose like at the time it would have been very like, whoa, like, mind blowing. But for me, I was like, oh, that was the whole thing. Like, but it's cinema like evolved over time, and like things that would have had more of an impact back in the day, like maybe have less impact these days. So, I won't fault it for that, but I still think that the ending is a bit disappointing for me.
It just happens so quickly. It's so abrupt, and then it just ends, right? It's like a Warren Ellis comic.
And
right?
like the imagery is very good. Like I love the when it shows her with like those glowing blue eyes, and she's got the wide open mouth and the like wide eyes. Like I think that's a good image, but like it feels like we should get more after that.
One thing that does excel to me in that last bit is the music. So let's talk about that real quick. The music of this film is done by a dude who I cannot find any other credit for, Edward Billups, but the music for the most part in this film is very generic, but I do appreciate that it doesn't go fully into the like Harry Manfredini kind of thing, like the whole like Richard Berman, it doesn't do that, but it doesn't do anything that separates itself from other scores, from other slashers of this era. But that last song at the end, even though this movie ends abruptly, we get that Angela's theme with that really creepy thing that they should have been using the entire time. That da-na-na-na-na-na. And then they have the whole like vocal range there. I love that song. So overall, I think the music in this movie is okay, but there are certain elements of it, the very, very end and that last theme song, that I really do love and appreciate. What about you, Verna? What do you think about the music?
I really like the way it opens. Like it's got like a really like they're showing the really beautiful fall setting with this really creepy music. The title card, Sleepaway Camp, pops in. To me, it reminds me, because we just did Sisters, where we had Bernard Herrmann, one of Alfred Hitchcock's guys, like the guy that did the most of his biggest movies. It gives me those vibes. It feels more old school than like a John Carpenter influenced synthy 80s score. So it's got a touch of Bernard Herrmann with a little bit of that John Carpenter. Like when they do the synthy, kind of almost sounds like the Exorcist song, Tubular Bells?
Tubular Bells.
Tubular Bells. Yeah.
Same thing.
Which in a way are the titular bells of the
yeah. Titular Bells was the thing me and Jelani went and saw. We had to pay good money to go see Titular Bells.
Real good money.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It stands out to me as just having that old school 80s feel, but even older than 80s music with a touch of John Carpenter.
Did you make it to the vocals of that last song though, man? What'd you think about that one, Angela's theme?
I don't know. I don't remember which one is Angela's theme.
It's the very last thing you hear. They do the whole thing, and then they cut to this really creepy sound, and all of a sudden this like old white dude shows up and he goes, "It's been a long time." It's almost like Enterprise, man. It's like it's so cheesy and over the top, man.
I'll be honest, it must not stood out because
you turned that shit off, bro. You were like, all right, Angela's face just turned green. I'm turning the movie off. All right, I can dig that, man. You probably did the right thing there. Jelani, what do you think about the music in this film?
It's generic, but it's like blah blah at the beginning of Sleepaway, when they do Sleepaway Camp and they like go over the camp itself, and it's like this loud bombastic music all of a sudden, and then it goes back to what it is, and at least it's not jazz. So it's okay with me. I'm fine with it. But it's very forgettable. It's kind of just there. Okay. But yeah, with moments of blah, blah.
Well, the problem is the theme of this movie is the fucking is the last credits. It's the credit roll.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is that theme should have been utilized throughout the entire movie. But you get the idea, especially with a low budget film. They made the movie, they got the score composed, they got it recorded. And then they were like, oh, fuck, we got $3,000 extra. Like, let's get this dude to do this fucking final movie. Let's get Michael McDonald to show up and do a fucking song or some shit like that, right? I don't know. What did you think about the music, Steph?
Sorry. I'm gonna echo you guys. I think it was serviceable. Probably not anything stand out. There's probably better, but it got the job done.
All right. Speaking of getting the job done, Joe, what did you think about the music in this film?
Yeah, I thought it was serviceable, and it gets the job done. But also, I'll add, like, the best moments for me is when it peaks out of nowhere, and it's like the movie's having a panic attack over nothing. It's like kids like talking like outside, like one of the cabins out there, and just screaming, and the music's like going through the roof, and you're like, they're just like arguing about who threw like a water balloon at someone, and
from a rooftop, of course.
And they are screaming and and reacting like a missile hit the wedding venue they're in. Like, it's this insane it's like, oh my God. And you're like, what is happening? And the movie does this like at least 4 times where like, it is genuinely like, they like it seemed like a way that they're trying to like raise the stakes over something that literally anyone else on earth would have played it like more straight, or would have just maybe had like creeping like music in the background, like, ooh, let's have a little subtle thing in the background that's like, emphasizing the tension in a sort of artful way. But this movie is just like, we're yelling, and now the music's loud, and it's just so clunky. Like the music in this goes, it wavers between like, serviceable, forgettable, and abrasive.
I agree.
That's actually a great way to put it. You're right. Because you're right. It's like they're throwing water balloons at Angela. Wow! It's like the fucking most serious thing ever.
That's the thing that they do, though. They keep on hinting the whole time that it's Angela's the killer. Anytime somebody offends her in the slightest way,
no, it's that Ricky's the killer. Ricky, I think they're aiming at.
The music makes her the red herring. The movie makes Ricky the red herring. You know what I mean? That seems to be what they do.
Yeah. They try to point it in one direction, but it's not.
I can't even remember the first time I watched this movie. I grew up watching Sleepaway Camp 2, because like you said, the VHS cover, right? Yeah. Where I rented that movie thinking that like Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy were going to be in that movie, bruh. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was renting Terror in the Isles for 1987 or something like that, but it was not actually what was going on. And I haven't seen that movie in decades, part 2 or 3. So I need to correct that, honestly. All right, so Brooks, what'd you think about the music, my man?
It's all right. It's got its moments, but overall, just pretty standard. Like, it's a slasher soundtrack, So like, it has those loud moments where it's like, almost trying to jump scare you sometimes, but it's all right.
It's all right. All right. Nice. We're the pop culture philosophers. So that means we like to dig a little bit deep. You dig? So, Verno, what do you think this movie's saying to you? What's the theme of Sleepaway Camp to you? What did you pick up?
The movie is saying that if you let a woman drive a boat for even a minute, many, many innocent people will die. And that's what's going to happen, dude. So it's pretty clear. It's right on the nose.
It's a cautionary tale about women drivers.
Yeah, and then there's the little touch of 80s I guess corporate greed in the form of this fucking camp where the dude's just hiding everything that's going on and sweeping it under the rug so we can get a couple extra bucks, kind of a deal. So those two things, but mainly the anti-woman driving.
Especially when Mel's like, hey, sheriff or whatever the fuck, deputy or whatever, let's like sweep this under the rug. Like we're going to sweep the fact that you shaved your mustache at the end of this film and you're wearing a clear Groucho Marx fucking costume going on. Like, I don't know what that was a Sharpie on his fucking lips, man. I don't know what was going on.
What's funny is to me, like it's those types of things throughout the whole movie are like, those are the things that add up to me loving this movie. Because like that would just be a boring ass who gives a shit scene, but it's like, no, it's the fucking fake mustache scene, you know? So now it's good.
And we're all like, we're so smart. We know that this guy shaved his mustache right before he did the scene. And the director's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I asked you one thing. Keep that fucking mustache. That's why we hired you. Jelani, what's this movie speaking to you? What's the theme?
Basically, don't bully people. Like it's something about this the anti-bullying thing, like picking on people. Like it's all this could have been avoided, except for the pedo. If someone, if they just took time to understand, especially the counselors are kids, pretty much, and Ronnie's the head counselor, but he's just aloof because he's feeding kids to a pedo, and it's obvious. But you don't bully people. I mean, kids are going to be kids because middle school was the absolute worst time of my life. It has to be, because I was bullied incessantly back then, and it's just one of those things where it triggers me every time I see this movie, because it's not only are the people that are there or the kids that are there bullying you, the people that are in charge are bullying you. And that even goes with Mel. Mel just being just a dickhead and attacking the cousin for no reason. Like he's just attacking people.
Or Meg attacking Angela.
That's what I'm saying. Meg attacking Angela, and she has no consequences. There are no consequences for this. Like she should have lost her job. That's one of those things where
she lost her life, Jelani. Spoilers, but she got killed. She got
murdered. She got murdered humming a song. Does anybody know what the song she was humming? Does anyone know how dumb how she sounded? Anyway, but it's just, you don't bully people. Just take a minute, realize where you are, realize the situation. Yeah. You don't have to pick on everybody. I know, and everybody is so soft nowadays and whatever. Bullying grows people up, makes a man out of you, whatever these things. Well, apparently it makes a killer out of some people. So I'm just saying, don't be careful who you mess with.
There is a very strong anti-bullying message in this film. 100%. Like it's right there, and it's on the surface for anybody to glean. What about you, Steph? What's this movie speaking to you?
I'm a very surface level guy myself, so I'm gonna piggyback off of Jelani. I'm gonna like, watch who you fuck with, because that person might not be the one. That's the message I got. They thought Angela was this quiet, mute. Yeah, fuck around and find out. Yeah, they found out for sure. But yeah, don't bully. Be careful who you mess with.
Yeah, the movie really goes deep, Steph, into the idea of kids acting like kids around other kids, and almost how that it gets ignored, right? Especially in 1983, because a lot of us here, we were raised in the fucking 80s. We're older than some people out there, but we're still young at heart, right? But like, we were all raised in an age where it's like, yeah, go out, ride your bike, do whatever the fuck you want. My parents had no fucking idea about the fucking adventures that I was going on, like after school, until like the street lights came on, right? But there were like plenty of Kiefer Sutherlands to my Stand By Me, if you know what I'm saying, right? So Steph, you and Jelani are right on the nose there. Joe, you're a writer, you're an editor. You understand story and structure and thematic material. What do you think this movie's speaking to you, my man?
Well, yeah, it's building on that, whole idea of, being like anti-bullying, but, it's also showing you sort of this world where it's like you also can't just depend on adults to get kids to do the right thing, because just about absolutely none of the adults, if anything, every adult in this more or less is pushing kids into being worse. And even the like counselors and stuff, like the whole bit with Mozart and the mind over matter trick. Like the one counselor comes in, is just like, yeah, your kids are still falling for that. Like nothing. There's no sense of, oh, we gotta stop this or that. I mean, Mel gets Ricky in trouble for running his mouth after he was just upset that the adults weren't taking care of things in a way, and obviously how much of a creep Mel is, but yeah, it's this idea of being anti-bullying, but also you have to it's up to these kids and other kids, like you got to work together and stop it. You can't, it doesn't fix itself if no one else is in on it. If there's only like one or two kids running around trying to stop it, it's not going to work. Like everyone sort of has to work together on that.
The kids were fighting each other at the social, and they didn't do anything. Like the counselors, I think one of the counselors maybe pulled them off, or I think Ronnie maybe had done it, but none of the counselors did anything. There was no consequence. Mel was there. I'm sorry, not to throw that in, but it's terrible.
Yeah. One of the lead counselors is Meg, M-E-G. You can't tell the way that she's like best friends with the biggest bully in the movie, Judy, but she's one of the lead female counselors. It's weird.
Yeah.
But like Introspectim says, except for Ronnie, he was
can
a
I
good guy to everyone.
Can I respond to the other thing he said? Because I never noticed until this watch through. I was always like, why do they kill the kids? They never do anything to her. They do. Those little shits do. When she gets thrown into the lake as she's walking away with Ricky, they throw sand at her. So that's all it takes. You throw a little sand at Angela, and you're done.
Yeah. No shit.
You're
all
dead.
Right, Brooke.
You're fucking dead.
Not Meg. Not Meg. I was fine with any death in this camp until Meg. I was gonna get laid for the first time in 40 fucking years. Jesus Christ. Anyway, Brooks, what's this movie speaking to you, my man?
The reason I got this camp.
I think this movie is about like being yourself and like being allowed to be yourself, because like the two main characters are Ricky and Angela, and Ricky is someone who's very confident in who he is. He's hot-headed, but he's comfortable with who he is. He knows who he is, and he doesn't have any problem expressing himself in whatever way he wants. And Angela's like the complete opposite, because she's kind of been forced into this identity that she may not necessarily have wanted, which is why it takes her a while, to adapt to her surroundings, and she's discovering who she wants to be, like while this thing is going on. That's why it's like throughout most of the beginning, like she's silent, she just sits, she observes, and then
Brooks,
somebody comes.
Brooks, there's a fan theory that she's actually into Judy, and that's why like she's staring at her, but she's not quite comfortable with this sexuality yet, right? Like, so there's an element there that we could kind of glean from it too.
Yeah, it feels like the fact that Angela has been like, she wasn't allowed to be herself, like the fact that she was forced into this identity that she may not have wanted is the reason why maybe she's got these anger issues, and why she feels like she has to lash out and do murders and stuff. It's like, it's important for people to feel like they can be who they want to be, and not feel like they're being forced to adopt an identity that just so they can fit in or whatever.
That's actually a very profound message that's in this film to me, right? Where like I know a lot of people look at this movie, there's a part of the the conversation that says this movie is like transphobic, that the movie is blaming the idea that like Angela's like confused about her gender identity, with her equating that with her being a killer. I don't think that's the case at all. I think she kills, like y'all were saying, everybody who bullies her, everybody who like comes at her, anybody who doesn't, she's okay with. But at the same time, Brooks, you're talking about this wasn't Angela's decision, right? So she's like being fucked with like by her aunt, by everything building up to this. When she's
after having like this traumatic experience where like her dad and her sister died.
Yeah.
And then now she's left with this weirdo who's like, oh, I'm going to tell you who you are now.
Yeah. And like Spilio said, like, I mean, I do think that this movie gets touted as a very queer centric horror film nowadays, right? I don't think that was necessarily the intent, but it was there. Like you got the fathers, right? Like the two dads who were like Angela's dads who, and I love the bit where like the kids are watching them make love and they're laughing, but then that we see that flashback when she's having an experience of what's the word? Where she's getting turned on by this fucking dude, right? And she's flashing back to this, and it can be a struggle, right? When it comes to sexual identity or gender identity, right? And I don't think this movie, obviously it came out in 1983. This is not a perfect movie about this, right? And by the way, the director does go, this movie, Crying Game ripped me off. Maybe a little bit, but this is an element that was prevalent in these movies back in the day. We talked earlier this year about Dressed to Kill. Not a perfect movie, but it was a movie that was trying to understand or make a statement on something that it wasn't quite understanding at the time, right? And I do believe that even if it was subconsciously, that was a statement made in this film about the transgender idea or homosexuality or any kind of other sexuality other than what society here in the States consider the norm, right? That is prevalent in this film. I started this show saying this is one of the gayest films I've ever seen. And I said that in a positive way because I love the inversion of this film. And I do think that's one of the themes. It's trying to take, Joe, like you said, this director doesn't like horror movies. So he looks at this stuff and he's like, oh, okay, how can I do this? But can I do it a little bit different? Wouldn't you appreciate it if more creators did that shit today? Joe, Steph, Jelani, Verno, Brooks. Yeah. Would you like it if more people were like, I may not be 100% into superheroes or horror or sci-fi, but you know what? Let me look at what makes these things work and let me do my own thing with it. Let me push some boundaries.
Absolutely.
All of that aside, what I think this movie is stating, everybody hit it on the head. Everybody hit the nail on the head. It's about identity. It's about bullying. It's about so much stuff. But to me, what it's about is this. Adults do not pay attention to kids, especially adolescents. Nope. And we can all agree on this. All right, the first sexual experience I ever had, the first physical sexual experience with another person I ever had was at church camp. It was at camp. You know why? Because we're all at church camp, so we can leave these kids alone. Nah, you can't. Because kids are the shittiest fucking people. But where do they learn that from? From the adults that are around them. This entire movie, to me, is about how the kids are only mimicking the intolerance or the apathy from the adults. The adults either don't give a shit or the adults are fucking mean. Meg, terrible, right? Some of the other counselors, like the other dude counselor who's like in a competition with the dude who wears the midriff during the softball game. He's hot. But no, that's a part of this fucking film, right? Where like the adults don't give a shit about these kids for the most part, right? Like Mel is more focused on hooking up with Meg. The only time he takes action in this film, in a film about a series of fucking murders at a summer camp over the course of a few days, the only time Mel gives a shit is when the young teenager that he might have hooked up with that night gets killed, right? That's when it comes. Why? because adults don't give a shit about the kids. That's the theme to me. Whether it's Mel or even Ronnie. Ronnie is cool and he's a doll and he's dreamy and all that kind of shit. And he fills his fucking costumes out, but that hair is too much for me. I could not deal with that. But I think he still has that same fucking hair today. But even with Ronnie, where there's good intentions there, he's not invested in the lives of these kids. He's not invested in what these kids are actually going through. That's what shit like summer camp is supposed to be. It's supposed to be older kids, older like adults and older kids teaching younger kids like, yo, life is hard. We're all dealing with the same shit. That's not what I got in summer camp. What I got in summer camp was, yo, the adults fall asleep before us, and then we can give each other hand jobs and we can finger each other. Like that's what we do. Like that's like the whole fucking point of summer camp. Like there's this like sexual connotation to it, right? And it comes across in that. And then with the idea of like sexual confusion, especially when you're like 12, 13, 14 years old, you don't know who the fuck you are. You don't know what you want sexually. You don't know who you are. Like it's just, that's something that's also being identified and talked about in this film. So I think this movie actually thematically reaches further than it does cinematically, if that makes sense. So I think there's a lot of stuff to say here, but the most important thing to me is this. Adults don't give a shit about kids. And when kids are being kids around other kids, who are led by other kids, this is what happens. And I think everybody here on the panel has dealt with shit like this at some point in our lives where the adults are like, you know what? The 17-year-olds are in charge of the 14-year-olds, and it just leads to this kind of shit. Not necessarily death and murder, but it leads to like bullying, and it leads to self-esteem issues, and it just leads to so many problems. And I think this movie is actually ahead of its time trying to discuss some of these things. Anyway, I'm rambling. Time for the rating of the film. Out of 5 possible you digs. You out there in the chat, what do you give Sleepaway Camp? I cannot wait to hear what you have to say. And Verno, why don't you let us know what you think? Kick us off.
Oh, I want to respond to like everything you just said, but I'll just say it really quickly. It's funny because you're so true about that. Like it's a joke you hear all the time. Like parents in the 80s didn't care about kids, but that's part of what made it fucking awesome to be a kid in the 80s because we got to do whatever the hell we wanted. So it was a double-edged sword when it came to that. But he said so many good things. I want to speak more on it, but I'll just move on. I would say like this is a movie. As soon as I got like 15 minutes into it, I was like, oh no. Am I going to ruin this movie by trying to like use my critical brain when I watch this movie? So I just shut that shit off. I'm like, who cares? This is not that kind of movie. Cause I think if you're like, it's like a 3.5 movie, but I enjoy it like a 4 and it's Horrorfest. So that's what I'm going to give it. It's one of those movies. It's a weird, unique slice of the 1980s that we're never going to get again. And it's one of the best examples of the type of movie that we would get in that era. So I'll give it a 4, man. Stoked to be on this panel to talk about it with you guys.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's a great rating. And I'm here when you want to have some discussion about this film outside. If you want like talk to me after the fact, man, we'll figure it out. But a 4 is a very solid rating for this film, in my opinion. What about you, Jelani?
You're right about the confusion, all of the craziness of being a teenager. Puberty for a lot of these kids, a lot of things, and then parents just don't give a shit. And they just send their kids off to camp where the counselors don't give a shit. And it's just one of those things, man. And I totally get that. It's one of those just weird, of the things going forward, too.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Jelani, but I mean, I just did. So I guess I do mean it a little bit. But like one of the interesting things about this film is these were kids that were doing this film, right? And the director in the documentary on the Screen Factory release, which I have right here, right? The director was saying that most of these parents just dropped their kids off and left them with me.
That's it.
Except for Felicia's parents, who were like, she's not going to wear a strap on. She's not going to be killing anybody. But like, yeah. But no, like, even it's kind of a meta commentary, even in a way.
Is.
Yeah.
It's like a nanny state. We just nanny them. We just send them off and keep them occupied until things happen. Hey, So it's a wild movie, and it covers so many things. It is so ahead of its time. It's way better than Dress to Kill because I hate that movie, and I'll give this a 4 or 5. I really enjoy it.
Oh, nice.
It's not a perfect film, but every time I watch it, I'm still like enthralled by it. It's still like it's so bad it's good. Like you said before, Berto, it's one of those things, man, where you just watch it and you're like, oh, I just shut my brain off and enjoy how crazy it is. I've probably seen it like 4 or 5 times already, so I really enjoy it. And of course, Eat Shit and Live, Bill.
Eat Shit and Live, and you know what? The dude did.
Yeah, he ate shit and lived. It was stung to death by bees.
Yeah, no shit. Steph, you're one of my favorite fucking people to talk about movies with. I love your opinion on movies. I'm very excited to hear what you have to rate Sleepaway Camp.
All right. For a first watch, sometimes I have a tendency, if it's, it's all right, I like check out of the movie if it's kind of not the best. But I was really engaged with this movie all the way up until the end. Even if it was an abrupt ending, I had to rewind that panel like 5 times with the Angela reveal, which is just because it's very striking visually. But it's just a fun time,
And you were like me,
kills
right?
aren't too over the top, but they're still effective.
I'm sorry, Steph. You were like me, right? You were like, there's no way they got a dude without a bigger dick to play this role, right? Like if somebody's going to be the body stand-in, you're going to get the dude with the biggest schlong, right?
That guy has never came out. It's still a secret. He's never been to a convention. Nobody knows who he is. He was a local high school kid that they said you can get drunk, and he got hammered drunk and then did it. But he's very embarrassed about it.
Yes.
Wouldn't you be? Wouldn't you?
That being said. But I'm gonna just echo where I was being a little critical. I was thinking critically, and I was like, this is like a 3 through 5 movie, but it is Horrorfest, and I will bump everything up a score. So with that being said, I was looking at like 3-5, but because I had so much fun with it, I'll give it a solid 4 as well. Great pick.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, and just so anybody knows, we there's a scale when it comes to Horrorfest, y'all. Okay, like when we're giving these movies ratings, like y'all should have heard some of the shit I said during the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise review. Joe, I'm very excited. What do you give this movie out of 5, you digs?
No, it's solid. I enjoy it every time I watch it. Even though like we touched on, it's got its problems. There's a few that really stand out, but overall, yeah, it's always fun. Solid 4 out of 5 as well.
All right, 4 out of 5 from Joe. What about you, Brooks? This is the moment we've all been waiting for. What do you think about Sleepaway Camp out of 5, you digs?
I'd give this one a 3.5. To me, it's an above average slasher movie, but like I think the ending really fumbled it for me because I expected so much more. But I do love, like, as far as the ending goes, I like the striking image, but I just expected more, I guess. But as far as slasher movies go, this one has decent characters. It has it builds suspense very well, and the kills look real, or the aftermath of the kills in most instances look really good. So 3.5.
All right, a 3.5 from Brooks. For me, I'm going to give it a 4. 4 ya digs. Because I do think this movie is really good. I enjoy it. I love it. But at the same time, I know it's not the greatest slasher film ever made. I know it's not comparable to some other things. But I do think that it's striving to say some stuff that maybe it's not quite ready to say. Maybe not even some stuff that it's intending to say. But this movie is actually quite ahead of its time for various reasons. The music is okay. It's serviceable, right? In my opinion, just like Steph. But I do love that theme at the end. I love the performances. I love the authenticity of this movie, even if it doesn't always come across as supremely sincere. I do like this film, so I'm going to give it a 4. Verno gave it a 4. Joe gave it a 4. Steph gave it a 4. Brooks gave it a 3.5. And Jelani gave it a 4.5. I don't know of a movie during Horrorfest that Jelani has rated higher than the rest of the panel. But I guess it's Sleepaway Camp. So that's a PCP average of 4.00069. So hell yeah, y'all. Great ratings above and beyond for Sleepaway Camp. If you've never checked it out, you need to check it out right now. It's available on Peacock, Tubi, Freevee, Amazon. Just watch it. Try to watch it without commercials because that sucks. You don't want to do that. So anyway, thus concludes our review of Sleepaway Camp. Join us next week. We're getting real, y'all. I'm so proud of myself for the Horrorfest lineup for PCP in particular, because we just keep ramping up. And next week, we're talking about David Cronenberg's The Brood. Y'all, this movie is gnarly as fuck. I'm super excited, but I'm on 3 Horrorfest shows within the next week. Starting Thursday night over at Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter, I'll be talking about Bride of Chucky, my favorite Chucky movie. Very excited for that. Saturday night, even though I'm going to be in Memphis for the Memphis Comic Expo, I will be appearing on Dylan's Horror Show to talk about Sinister, because this was Two Gun Pedro's pick. He sent me the Blu-ray. I at least owe him an explanation as to why I did or didn't like it. But next week, y'all, The Brood. Oh, I'm so ready for that one. It's going to be so gnarly, so great. I cannot wait for y'all to see this fucking movie. It's great. Verno, thank you for being here, man. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts, man. This is a banger. I'm glad I was able to get on this one. Great panel. Happy to be here and super stoked about Bride of Chucky. Go check it. We've been killing it through Horrorfest. You've been there for a lot of it. Steph, you've been there for all of it. We've been having a shitload of fun. Did the Blob last week. Great conversation with you on Sisters. So go check out Blood Splatter Chatter. We're having a whole bunch of fun over there.
Yeah, you got a killer lineup too, bro. To be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why it's the best Horrorfest ever. It's not that I finally perfected the PCP list and the evolution of it, but you and Dylan have really helped bring some oomph to the lineup, man. Finally, and in fact, maybe even over other people, you have really brought the oomph to the lineup. So Sisters, man.
Can I show off my Sleepaway Camp shirt?
Yeah, please do, bro.
Oh yeah, it's a meatballs homage.
Oh, nice.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot.
I like that. Jelani, thank you for being here. Final thoughts, my man.
Yeah, dude. Great movie. I love this movie, man. It's just one of those things you can just pop in and watch and just totally enjoy. So I'm glad I was here. Glad to see Brooks's reaction. I knew he'd give us something. And he gave us something. So I really appreciate that. And of course, Brooks and I do Go Figure reviews. We do a toy channel ourselves. And oh yeah, we did this video, the Superman versus Doomsday Toon Pack from McFarlane. We're pretty decently getting slowly better. We're trying to get some new mics and some video equipment. I'm working on that as we speak. So hopefully the resolution will be better. Check us out, see what's going on, and eat shit and live.
Eat shit and live. All right. What about you, Steph, man? Final thoughts. Thank you for being here, bro.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for exposing me to this movie. I should have watched this earlier. I really enjoyed it. I agree with you, Jeb. I was going to say that this is a movie you can just kind of put on in the background and you'll catch certain bits. Like, oh, that was dope. Oh, that was fun. But beyond that, Supreme Clientele every Wednesdays in IG with Dr. Doom's fan club, my man Stu. We do a little bit of hip hop and comics. Come and check us out, 9 p.m. every Wednesday.
I have never seen a comic book show that's like what you and Stu put on, Steph. Like, y'all are doing something truly original and very exciting. So everybody go check them out on IG, the last surviving IG live show from the PCP Army Bad Batch and the Excitable PCP crew. because everybody go right now after this show and sub up to One Collection Down here on YouTube, because y'all, we're going to make this dude's YouTube debut the biggest ever in this community. Right? We're all going to fucking do that. All right. Y'all, by the way, if all 6 of us are not subbed up right now, I'm going to fucking throw goddamn elbows right now. All right. Joe, thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. Final thoughts, man. What you got coming up?
I think if you love this or just, anything I do, you're going to love Sheena Fatal Exams coming out from Dynamite right now. The first issue, if you're lucky, you might be able to get a copy at your LCS. And issue 2 is going to be here before you know it, next month even. So check that out. Also, I had a bunch of trades come out recently. The Dahlia in the Dark trade, the Never Ending Party trade, and I have 2 stories in the Chilly Adventures Presents trade that Archie put out. So there's that. Do that, everyone.
Yeah, yo, go support Joe's work because it's some of the best. And I hope, Joe, that the other day when I posted up my whole, like, you have to be the best to rest on these shelves thing, I hope you saw your work on that shelf. Right.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, the thing that really, thank you, but I really appreciate that I saw Stuck Rubber Baby on there.
Oh, yeah. I finally got a copy. I was able to get it from a distributor, and I was like, well, fuck my customers. I'm getting this copy. This is mine.
No, it's a really, really good book.
You led me into Howard's work, man. I really appreciate that, Joe. So I really do. All right, Brooks, thank you so much for being here, man. I was so looking forward to this, man. I really was. So, Brooks, thank you for being here. Final thoughts, my man.
This movie's been making me think maybe I should start going to summer camp again. Like, I've been checking out this place. It's called Camp Crystal Lake. It seems pretty promising.
It's a trap.
Get out there into nature again.
Yeah. We got to get up there to New Jersey and check out Camp Crystal Lake, everybody. It's going to be good. In fact, Brooks, I have booked a cruise ship to take us to Camp Crystal Lake. But the thing is, we got to share it with like the senior fucking group, right? So like this like whatever, but I'm talking about Jason Takes Manhattan. Anyway, most of that Jason Takes Manhattan, I remember being a kid being like, oh, Jason in New York. Most of the movie is on this shitty ass cruise ship, by the way. So like,
and he never takes Manhattan. He shows up and then that's it. That's the end.
He takes a little bit of Manhattan.
He takes a dude's head off.
He knocks that fucking dude's head clean the fuck off, man. I love it. All right. Join me Thursday night on Verno's channel, Blood Splatter Chatter for Bride of Chucky. Join me Saturday night on Dylan's channel for Sinister on Dylan's Horror Show. But join us next week for The Brood. This is going to be a great conversation. And Verno and Steph, y'all are there. Jelani and Brooks, have anybody seen this movie aside from me?
I've never seen The Brood. And it's Cronenberg, so definitely not.
Nobody saw this movie but me and you, Verno. I'm so fucking excited.
Jesus.
Y'all will never want to have children again.
No, I don't want to because of fucking Cronenberg, man.
Let's take Cronenberg body horror and apply it to pregnancy. All right, let's do that. All right, y'all. We love you. We're dipping out. And my final thought is this. Meet me at the waterfront after the social. Catch you next time, y'all.